Transitioning.
Well, we won't need to get to the meat of it like super quickly anyway.
Yeah.
Like we can always just start with something a little less.
Welcome to
whatever.
News Time with Nen, also known as episode 40 of the Webcomics Hubcast. I'm joined as usual by my co-host and weird person who lives across the world from me, Kaz. I don't have a good joke today.
Heyo. Yeah, I think it's a lot of effort to keep going, you know, with all like with the jokes and stuff like that. Yeah, so as you might have heard like in our pre-show, but I will repeat it here. A lot of stuff has happened in the 3 weeks from our last show till now. So we would be a little bit like, you know, silly to not to like, you know, just not address it,
No joke.
especially because like one of these things has is something that affects like some of us. Like I think Nan, you mentioned that your friends were a little bit like, oof, don't know how to feel about some revelations that came out, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I personally, I'm just happy that they're getting called out. I think it's really funny that they're getting called out. They all deserve it.
Yeah.
But for some people, I know this is really sad. Jay, for my friend Jay especially, this is really sad. He really liked Warren Ellis.
Yeah, okay. But you know, amongst that, I mean, apart from like, you know, you get a taste of what's to come, but we will be also talking about the short story contest, like sort of wrap up, because this is the last few days before the end of the submission period. And yeah, well, I mean, I as a participant myself, I can actually like, you know, talk about what it was like to we're pretty much completed with
Yeah.
like Kari's finishing the lineup for the last chapter today, but we'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about there's not like a few bits of news here and there, like the Eisner Awards, which is in addition to the Ringo Awards, is another comic awards thing. Yeah, and I think Nen also like at some point has it has interviews lined up. It's just a matter of like trying
Yes.
to
I got
organize them.
interviews and they're gonna be so cool. Mostly because the people
Yeah.
I found are actually quite.
Okay. Yeah. That's a little, but yeah. So first, let's just talk about this Eisner Awards thing, right? So I sent a tweet to Nan, right? It was actually like legit news that the Eisner Awards. Okay. So for quick rundown, Will Eisner, for those of you who don't those guys who don't know, he is the the granddaddy of sequential art, which is fancy name we use for comics. And so yeah, there were awards being like, you know, being like done up in his name, and they're pretty prestigious that you have voting, yes, but like
Hold on,
they're
Cass,
they're
your
often like,
microphone's doing a weird thing where
huh?
your microphone's acting weird. Check your.
Oh, you're roboting, so I think it might be that.
Oh, okay. You know what?
Yeah, you're roboting. Yeah, it's okay.
One sec.
Just let me know when.
Okay, done.
Okay, yeah. So sorry about that. It just
Yeah.
kicked.
It just kicked in. Yeah.
Yeah, so so regarding the Eisner Awards, all you need to know, pretty prestigious relative to the comics community,
Yeah.
comic awards. Of course, because comics are still a little bit biased towards like the old boys clubs and printing. Most of the categories there are for print, but there are webcomic awards too. Now, I mean, I'm actually not going to talk about like, you know, who got nominated for what webcomic and stuff like that. I'm actually going to talk about the fact that they had to redo their voting.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you some voting sites, I mean, some like comics websites reported that the 2020 Eisner votes had to start over from scratch, and the statement they gave was that, you know, it's going to take place on a different voting platform, and there was a website, I am not making this up, Anomaly. So all the existing ballots, if you voted for them, they're being thrown out, and you'll have to like redo it. And I mean, so the official line is Anomaly, but
yeah, they call it
at least
Anomaly. On our website.
Like, so
Anomaly.
So yeah, I mean, then you do coding, you know what it, like. do people actually refer to this kind of stuff as an anomaly, man?
Okay, two things. One, this isn't a fucking anomaly. This isn't. I just need this to be understood. There's no other way to call it. Okay. So the only time I've seen a website do this in like not like a kid's website or like someone's personal crappy site, like a major site where people are gonna be visiting was when Fallout 76 was doing refunds for the canvas bag thing, and then they leaked a bunch of people's information because somehow logging in gave you access to their
Oh,
ticketing system because they're stupid. Um, this isn't an
oh,
anomaly. This is you not. This is the people who run your website either purposefully doing something to undermine your own voting system, in which case that isn't good, or they're incompetent. Now, I'm not going to call it purposeful purely for the fact that to do so would be to be overly would be to escalate the situation way beyond what is acceptable. But this is definitely incompetent. Not from Probably not from the Eisner team because they went and got a new product. They probably aren't that well versed in programming, but definitely from the people that they went to source this new voting like app or system or collation thing or whatever the fuck they got. That is pure incompetent. I can't. No. I just I think it's so funny. It's so stupid.
okay.
I think the
So,
way Ego found it as well is hilarious because it's a bunch of people in the so there's a marginalized genders and people of colors comic Discord where just some people get to people who like don't normally get a shout in the industry get to talk with each
yep.
other, and
Mm-hmm.
it's when they're talking about the rest of the news, the sexual assault news in comics, that they find out that they can just see each other's personal information on a
And
website
votes.
and
And
votes.
votes. And you can adjust them, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like,
And they found out that people like, and it wasn't. It's been there since at least the beginning of June because one of the people who voted ages ago, um, whenever the thing opened ages ago, found that their votes had been changed.
and the name has been changed as well
And
before the
yeah,
voting
it's
shut down.
just, oh god.
Yeah. So and they said that they received an initial email response in on June 15th
Yeah,
that when they noticed the changes to votes, and he said, okay, a few accounts were cross-linked, let me correct it and I will have you re-register.
yeah,
And some people didn't realize until the 17th, so they knew what was going on for like so at least 3 days it wasn't addressed.
yeah.
That's yeah. I mean I wouldn't call it a website normally. I'd actually call it a data breach if you can see personal information.
It's it's a massive data breach. Like if this was in any other industry, right, with a bigger group of people, this would have been like if this was the video gaming industry, this would be a situation where there's currently a class action lawsuit that's still in the works that they haven't worked through because the ESA once doxed every journalist who went to the last
Oh,
E3. Like, yeah,
oh,
it's still a data breach if they just left it out. Like, come on. It's still a data breach if they just left it out. I still think that's funny. Hella Requiems. We're talking about how like, oh god, they just left the data out. Like children. I j-
oh, goodness, yes. I mean,
Whatever.
I heard someone describe it as Sony levels of bad. Like, do you
Yeah,
remember like what happened to Sony?
that's because the PlayStation 3 was such a piece of junk that people were using it to breach Sony's servers and get access to people's accounts. That happened twice. Like not just like accounts, like credit cards and information and addresses, games that they were getting paid for. So like it was crazy. That's Sony levels of ridiculous nonsense.
Oh god, it's so. If I'm looking at the recap here, it's like personal information about Sony employees and families. This is Sony Pictures, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait, did they actually use a PS to do it? I don't
Because
think they
I
did.
know the first breaches that happened were using the PlayStation 3 as like a jumping off point to access the network, but I don't think they
Oh my
actually did
god.
that afterwards. Like it was the first. It's like I did. I know that the PlayStation 3 was massively flawed. Like if I, as someone who used it for like 20 for like 20% of its lifetime, if not 40% of its lifetime, you could trick the system into allowing you to change your username, password, and date of birth without going through authorization. That means
Yeah.
anybody could do that as long as they had a PlayStation 3 with your account on it, which isn't very difficult. Because back then you kind of needed it to play with your friends, so you would always log in and like stuff on people's PlayStations. So I would like go to my even on my PS4. I got my PS4. I would go to my friend's place and like
Mhm.
whenever I messed up my password and then like use it to breach my own account, change my password and information
Oh.
without authorization, and then go back to my PS4 and use it like normal. So yeah, like that's a normal thing in like it's not uncommon for there to be weird data breaches. It's not uncommon for there to be things like that. But the thing is, like,
That shouldn't happen.
yeah, and like when they happen, they're usually very hard to have gotten to. Like, Sony's one was bad, but Sony's one was hard to do. It took people with skill. It shouldn't take a bunch of people just fucking around on a website. Oh my god, it's Fallout 76. Dumb, stupid nonsense.
Well, I mean, you emphasis on Fallout, I guess.
Yeah,
But yeah, so here's the thing. So they're gonna like redo the votes. That's what they claim, and
yeah,
and I think there were people who said that they were not given emails.
yeah.
So like they're
I
trying
mean,
to figure it
because obviously it happens. Because like this is the thing: if somebody can go in and manipulate the data, they could very easily have just changed emails. And like
out.
they probably and given the way they've handled things, I wouldn't be surprised if what they did was they went, well, all these votes got cast between June 3rd and June 18th, right? I'm just gonna look at all the emails that are already on the system from those votes that were cast and send everything back, not considering the fact that those emails could have been changed.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
Like that would not surprise me. Also, hello, Jeremy. Um,
yeah.
anyway,
So
but
I mean,
that's
you might wonder why that's like, why we're even like bothering to cover it. Is it just because it's comics news? Well, it's more the fact that you kind of need to think about, now that we work on stuff that is delivered digitally through like platforms like these, and can you imagine like what if Webtoon one day hit a data breach that was similar to that? Like,
they probably have. I'm not gonna lie, but
I mean,
everyone.
you haven't you highlighted that their coding, their programming of the website is
Yeah, but it's
absolutely
more like their
dismal in some
website.
ways?
Yeah, it's more like their website's UI is bad. I don't know about their backend, but like it's very possible that they've already had a break. It's not okay. This is me being the annoying devil's advocate for like 2 minutes, like something I don't like doing when it comes to companies. But it's not their fault that they get hacked. They exist, and some people just don't like that or just think it's funny. Like literally, there are some people who hack and just go like website go bruh, and then they just want to break in and take stuff or mess around, right? So they're constantly under a lot of attack, especially if they're a website with some notoriety. Um, and data breaches will happen. They do their best to like curb them. Like they do their best with a lot of encrypting and a lot of back end stuff. But data breaches will they're a definitive fact of the internet existing, of having your data out there. They will happen. That's the reason why a lot of websites have like two-factor authentication. If you have a website that has 2FA, please enable it because it makes it harder for people to get to your data. Okay? Do it. Don't be that person. Um Anyway, so even on
Yeah,
Webtoons
take
end,
steps. Yeah, take steps
yeah,
to protect yourself, guys.
exactly. But even on Webtoons end, I'm sure they've probably had like one breach in the past like 6 years they've been going on. But it has never been a major enough breach to warrant an announcement. Although technically, that's probably just the way America works. Here, any breach of any size warrants an announcement. But it's
Yeah,
probably something small.
what the think about if payment information? I think it probably was done through Google and like whatever, so that
Yeah,
might help. But
yeah,
if they had like internal like payment information
yeah.
instead of
That's
through
a
Google,
nightmare. Yeah, like there's a whole like once you start involving yourself with the more personal data gets, the more terrifying it gets to handle it yourself. Offloading it to someone else is always your best bet because you offload your payment systems to Google, great. You never have to worry about credit cards ever again. Google does that for you. All you need to do is make sure that you can get money through them. You upload your you make sure people only have a username and password. So whatever identification searching that is done, because whenever you pay for something, there's like a very small but a very quick but very definitive, like, is this phone or is this individual paying likely to be the person who owns the card identification check.
Mhm.
So they've offloaded all of that basically onto Google. They don't have to worry about your name, your personal information, any of that. That's on Google. That's Google's problem. So that's a really good move from them. It's actually a very smart move. That's probably the reason why there's no FastPass on desktop, because if they put it on desktop, they would have to put their own payment system in and then put their own, and then have to handle all this very sensitive data. Not fun. It really is not fun.
I mean, I think you can use Google Pay, Google Checkout on like desktop, but it's not as convenient as phone.
Yeah, I didn't even know you could do that. That's actually news to me.
I may or may not like be very familiar with online shopping on different platforms. Hey, I have needs too. Okay.
I shop on two sites, Amazon and Banggood, so I don't really know what to shop.
Banggood? Is that what I heard?
It's a website where you buy like Chinese electronics.
It's called Banggood. That sounds really bad out of context, man.
It's a good website. It's the only place where I can get all of like good high quality Chinese electronics.
All right, next topic, which is the meat and potatoes of our show today. You can probably guess, like, if you did an intro already, like, we're talking about discrimination, and we're also talking about power abuse. As you can see, power corrupts is the title of the show. Now, we are very thankful that in terms of the webtoons or webcomics, there appears to be like less of this, if not at all. But especially for people who are looking to get into like maybe you're looking to break into like mainstream, you're like at conventions and stuff, and you do that on the regular, if not for this plague we've got going out there. It'd be kind of like you'd be kind of like naive to try and like, you know, turn yourself away from the fact that these things happen, because sooner or later, right? Yeah. They're not that you can't like think of them as like the isolated case is really unfortunate, because the way I see it, and if you try and extrapolate it to real life as well, like comics, we've always said that working comics is not immune to whatever real life happens outside of there, and sadly we've got creeps and abusers in every single like field. In comics, it's not immune from that. So Nen, would you like to set the ball rolling?
Oh, great. This is my job now. Okay. So for me, this kind of became a thing where I learned about the Warren Ellis situation. Is that the word for him manipulating and using his power to be just a jackass? Okay.
So yeah. But just remember, Warren Ellis is not the only one at the moment.
He's not the only one. What annoys me is because he's the only one who put out like a long as fuck like response that was the most tone deaf, stupid, irresponsible, childish bullshit I've ever read in my life. He's like, I don't consider myself to be a big person in the industry. Shut the fuck up. Like Warren, you're a grown man.
I think we definitely need to address like what happens like if you're in the unfortunate position of actually being more of a figurehead in or a bigger person in like in industry, whether that be webtoon or mainstream comics or whatever.
I don't think there's a lot to address in that situation, because I think it boils down to this: if you have power, don't be a cunt. Don't.
I mean,
like, listen, this is my advice for you. If you ever have power, think about what you're about to do. Think about whether or not it makes somebody feel even slightly bad. Then don't fucking do it. Warren Ellis is the creator of Freak Angels. He's a big webcomic creator when he started making comics. He's big in the industry now. He makes money doing this, okay? Like, we all know if you make enough money doing this shit, you are a big deal. No one makes money.
Warren Ellis may not be on Webtoon, but Warren Ellis is the Freak Angels is a webcomic. So
Yeah, that got a physical release that has like 8 volumes, and every volume costs like $15.
and it's going to be like adapted into anime, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was because it's part of the listing that had like all the Webtoon anime, like the Crunchyroll stuff that was going on, the Tower of God and God of High School. Freak Angels was on that list of things. He's got the face of a hairy baby. Thank you, Geekboy. It's just
Oh god.
I don't understand how you have all of that, and then you say to people, as a grown ass man, okay, as a grown ass man, you say to me, I never considered myself to be that big. I don't give a shit what you consider yourself to be. You're supposed to be something more than this. Like I don't. Fuck you. Anyway.
As you can tell, Nan is very incensed about this. But I think like I was the one who brought it to your attention, right? That
Yeah, you made like no. I was reading the tweets. I've been reading the Twitter storm. I've been if you follow, I forgot. She got like a Superwoman image. I forgot who she was. But she's really.
Was it
cool.
Jen Bartel?
No. I think it was Jen Martell.
The Jen Bartel like does all sorts of like comic stuff. So like
She's
not
the one
not
who's. Yeah. I think it's her. She's the one who's like who's also the wife of a comic creator. I think she also makes comics. And,
oh, okay, no, that's someone else.
Okay, no, there's someone I'm following on Twitter. I've completely forgotten her name because I'm absolutely useless at remembering stuff. But like she just started like slowly talking about this, and she was like, she was just explaining like this isn't an uncommon thing. They've had these discussions with these people. They've gone to their companies and they've gone to their bosses and talked about it. They've brought these conversations up, not just about Warren, but about other people in the industry. And it always ends the same way. No one does shit. And it's kind of ridiculous to me. Look, I just want to put this one out there, all right? If you are in charge of anybody, ever in your life, okay? I don't care if it's one guy in a Taco Bell or if it's 8 million people and you're Elon Musk. If you're in charge of anybody ever and they come to you and they say to you, hey, somebody did something to me I didn't like. I don't care what it is. I'm really trying not to like talk about it because I know some people might get I know it might affect some people negatively just to hear the topic in question. But it's sexual assault. If someone comes to you and says that they've been assaulted, like please do something. Don't look at them and be like, no, David would never do that. Because if you do that, you suck. Like, fuck you.
Okay, so to try and decipher because like this is the reverse of an anger translator. If you guys watch Key and Peele, you know what an anger translator is. Yeah, so it's difficult because there are some things where a quote unquote due process, as in talking to the police, they're reporting to HR and all that, right, is not going to yield like the results or like court or what so-called justice that you want for many reasons. And I think like most of these reasons are absolute bullshit. I know people can be concerned with like doing it. So I look at social media, right? Besides Warren Ellis, they've started outing like multiple like pretty like known people in print comic scenes, like Cameron Stewart, who was Dark Horse.
Yeah, he got dropped by DC like that. Like I'm not gonna lie, DC acted quick on that. Like,
and Dark Horse, not DC.
No, DC. He's also doing work with DC.
Yeah.
They had like a comic in the works that they were doing, and he had like that wasn't like the one that was out. That happened.
Okay, no. Actually, you're right. There was someone else who was recently dropped by Dark Horse, and like everyone was like, "Yeah, but why did it take you so long?" Yeah. So, well, the reason we mentioned Warren Ellis and Cameron Stewart was because they are the first two who, discussions about them set the ball rolling, and then everyone else started coming up with their own like accounts of what happened, and I need to talk about like why just go and do the proper reporting, like stuff like that is kind of ineffective. So in the case of Warren Ellis, right, soliciting nudes or sending creepy texts is not, strictly speaking, illegal. You can't prosecute that in the court. So, where would you turn to really?
When
And the thing is, if you are someone who is new, you don't have much clout to your name compared to big big daddy there who's like really like up there. Well, if you would, I mean, who would you go to in order to like report something like this?
yeah,
Would you if you go to, you have no reason to like go directly to his publisher and stuff and say, hey, this is what's going on and all that, because what are they gonna do? They're gonna fire him if they let's say they do fire him. They're gonna need something to replace him and all that. Like that's a lot of like hassle, and some publishers just would rather not take the heat for that.
a lot of
You know?
publishers, a lot of people will not do shit if you report someone who is abusive in any industry. And if you go to your HR department to report someone, like, I know you're doing it because that's the protocol, and you should do that protocol. But if you know that it's criminal, report it to other people than your HR. I need you to do this because, like, you need to understand your HR isn't there for you. HR is there for your company. Like, when it
Yes.
comes to situations of abuse in any industry, it takes very specific things to happen. It takes people with power who don't give a shit, people who don't have a voice, and like a
People who don't
complete
want to rock the
willingness.
boat because yeah.
Yeah, a complete willingness to not rock the boat because you don't want to be the person who has to take some responsibility for the situation. If you're in, like, don't be any of these people. Don't be the person without a voice because you're just fucking yourself over. And like, I know it's hard, but you've got to do something. I hope you do eventually. It's always difficult to come to terms with that. Don't be the person who also rock the boat because you suck. Just rock the boat or don't be there at all. And don't be the shitty boss who doesn't say shit because fuck you. I don't even feel
If,
bad anymore. They're just so
if you're in a
stupid.
position, okay, if you're ever in a position where the accused is someone you know and they've personally been like really nice to you, it does not invalidate the other person's experience, by the way.
Yeah.
I have if you don't even, let's not even talk about like sexual harassment. Let's talk about like just normal bullying and dynamics in general. That people can easily be two-faced, and this is, I mean, it's sort of like beggars belief that people cannot understand that sort of thing. That
Oh,
the
okay.
reason why people can get away with being consistently abusive to other people in all sorts of ways, or bully other people in all sorts of ways, is because they don't like show it to everybody. You just show you let it up just enough to the people you don't like, and then to everyone else you sort of like you smile and you like cover up all your crap, and
Yeah.
enough people be like, nah, you're not, I mean, it didn't happen to me, therefore it cannot be true. Like, I've never
Oh,
seen
okay.
it, therefore it cannot be true.
Okay. Remember a time with that stupid fucking statement. Okay. Like, like, I did like one TwitchCon in my life where I had a job at a Twitch.
Yeah,
Um,
TwitchCon, which one?
TwitchCon in London. I had like one job. It wasn't a big
It was the
deal.
London
It
one.
wasn't like a major thing. I did like one dumb thing. I helped organize something, and like, um, there was a conversation we were having at the time because a streamer was currently was being accused of sexual assault, right? And the only argument I heard from everyone there is the argument of, I met him. He's such a nice guy. He'd never do that. I feel like this person is looking for clout. Nobody's looking for clout when they claim a sexual. Nobody. Do you think anybody gets shit from saying like, "Yo, I got abused"? They don't get shit. Name me a sing. If you've probably heard this exercise before, name me a Cosby victim. Name me one. Give me their name.
I think the conversation has to be more nuanced than that. Everyone thinks back to, like, there are people who will cite Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp as a very good example of why people are apprehensive to believe claims of abuse right out.
Yeah, but it's complicated, and it's clear that Johnny Depp's situation is very particular. And I'm not saying like it doesn't happen like that. I'm just saying that it's a little bit more difficult than going like nobody would bother saying it if there was nothing to gain. Very few people, if any. And Amber Heard just proved she kind of sucks like a lot. You can't presume everyone sucks like that. Most people don't. Most people don't. I don't know.
For the most part, right? Like, I mean, for the most part, like cases are likely to go unreported or
Yeah.
like are not talked about for many reasons, which includes also the fact that you have no way of like being able to get due like recourse through police or the courts. Now I have to say that yes, or like at least like creepy like behavior or like just flat out abuse like spans the whole spectrum. There's like from like there's some people who also go like, yeah, so like, but how are you supposed to like meet people at these events, like or rather tellingly they say how are you supposed to meet girls at these events.
If
And
you
like,
can't meet a woman and not abuse her, never speak to a woman again. Die alone, like the
hang on,
rest of us.
hang on. To like just hold it down a notch. So here's the thing, right? When you go to comics convention and you're there because of your work, you are still on the clock. It does not mean you do not act like unprofessionally, despite the whole casual like vibe of some things. It may not be a corporate suit thing, but you still have to act professionally. The stuff I've been seeing like in the conversation about powerful people and their abuse in the comics industry runs the gamut from like Warren's creepy messaging to actual like touching assault and stuff like that. So
like, I'm just saying, if you can't talk to women without being a weirdo, don't talk to women at all. That's not hard. Like it's not gonna kill you. It's an easy solution. It means you never get in trouble ever again.
And doesn't mean don't talk to women at all. But
I mean, that's I feel like that's the best solution. Like the Shaolin monk solution. You can never have a bad relationship if you never have a relationship.
See, here's the thing, right? I know you're joking. I mean, it's funny, but at the same time, there are people who like complain, "Oh my god!" But like, how are you supposed to talk to like people like they're gonna just call sexual harassment on you like for any little thing? And like, yeah, that's kind of not how it works.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I still think that if that's what you think, then you shouldn't just talk. You just shouldn't talk to anybody. Don't talk to anybody. Go mute. That is a good solution for you, my guy.
Yeah, let's try not to delegitimize the topic then.
Like, I just feel like people who say that don't have a real argument. And
I mean, comics has long been considered a kind of geek. I mean, it's long been considered a geek industry, which it still is. Like, it's for and people think like like mainstream superhero comics in particular, the convention circuit ones in particular, are considered the kind of things that the misfits get into, and people who have long had not fit in the standard way and stuff like that. So it's not so far of a stretch to extrapolate that the people who like get into it, like get success with, some of them do have issues with in terms of like with conduct and how they carry themselves.
I guess.
But like, dude, you gotta have a responsibility the minute that you start like getting up there.
Yeah, I mean, you're a big boy now. Stop asking me to tie your shoelaces and pull your pants up. That's all I'm saying. Like,
if you know that you've got issues, like you can still learn as an adult.
Yeah, go to a class. There are classes for this thing. Please, just
surround yourself with good people. Be thoughtful and keep asking questions.
Because it's like, look, the reason I'm not being so forgiving about this is because before we even get to the general abuse that they go through, like we can just talk about in fact, I'm gonna use the example. One of the there was a lady who was writing Batgirl. She was writing Batgirl at the time. She was in the writer's room for that comic. I'm trying to see if I can find the tweet where she explains everything that happened while writing Batgirl. And by the way, working like for very, very low wage. The boys club would go to like there were like Batman's family conventions and stuff. She's the writer of Batgirl. She's not invited. There she is, Marguerite Scott, talking about the day like she bumped into another writer in an airport and learned accidentally that he was heading to DC's Burbank office for a Bat Family Summit. She was writing Batgirl. She was not invited. She was the writer of one of the writers of Batgirl, and was not invited to the story, to the event. And like how do I put this? So she's writing this comic. She's not invited to do it. They would then go to these conventions, the Bat Family conventions, come back and like change whole sections of her writing of what the story she was writing, not allowing her like imagine writing for like 3 weeks. Like you're writing your comic now, right now, Kaz, right? So imagine you've written all of the stuff you've written, right? And then somebody comes back and says, by the way, because of a summit we went to that you're not invited to and you couldn't give an opinion on your character about, we decided that Batgirl doesn't actually go to this building. She actually goes to a different building and has a whole different story arc. And also we're going to give her away to the guys in Burbank because they want to write an overarching story. So you're not going to write Batgirl for like 2 weeks. So scrap like the past 3 weeks of work, please. Thank you. Right. Like that's what they do. That's their behavior. Let me see if I can just show you this. It's so dumb. Yeah, like that's the situation just when you work in their industry. You haven't even gone to their abuse. That's what we call a pro business move. I know, right? So when you treat people like this, when you treat women and other people like this, do you think that I don't think there's any reason for me to be nice when you can't even fucking do your fucking jobs right, and then you still go and be creepy to women and send them weird messages and just fucking Warren Ellis shit up in this building. These messages still creep me out. These messages creep me out a lot. Like they make my skin crawl. Not gonna lie to you. Just saying. Like,
Yeah.
that's the reason I'm not nice about it. It's just like once you have all this stuff stacked up, it's like a situation of it doesn't matter what you do. They can't do business without being weird. They can't do socializing without being weird. I don't care how much of a nerd you are. We're all nerds, all right? I still buy He-Man action figures. That's where most of my salary goes. Go away.
Really?
Listen, all right. Skeletor is really in vogue right now, and there's some really old figurines of his that I'm really into. Stop judging me. Anyway, like,
Of course he understand. No.
please, guys. No, but you know, if you can't do your jobs right, you know, when it comes to other people in the industry, like 2 weeks, two shows in a row, I've had to say this. If you can't do your fucking job right when it comes to people of color or minorities in your industry and women in your industry, you can't do your fucking jobs right when it comes to socializing at your stupid fucking events, then why are you in? Go away. Go away, Warren. I don't even need to read Freak Angels anymore. I'm gonna cancel my fucking purchases because I bought them because I was really going to like ask him to be on the show because I was really into Freak Angels because Jay had been talking about it. I was like, you know, I'm gonna read them. I'm sending them back. Go fuck yourself. Like, yeah.
That is a really strong move. I think we can't have this conversation without talking about Comicsgate. Unfortunately. Unfortunately. So if people are getting reminded about the other movement called Gamergate, I guess like you can just add like Dashgate a lot of things and that works. Now Comicsgate, right? Well, if you talk to supporters of Comicsgate, they will harp at you that comics diversity in comics is like lip service or overcompensation, and they would be right, but only to a certain extent. Now, the big two, Marvel and DC, have long had so the main demographics changing, and VOP they've hired they've hired women, they've hired POC, they're like starting to write stories of women and POC, and somehow they seem to be missing the mark. People just aren't buying them. People aren't people are panning them and saying that this story sucks. Now it's a multi-layered issue for me personally.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just because their argument is diversity is higher just for the sake of it, dilute the quality of the comics, and it's not as cut and dried as that.
We talked the other day with not just with Kari, talked with I forgot who it was we talked with about what's wrong with the industry generally, and how like they don't even, because the comics industry had been using Diamond for so long, they didn't even know
Mm-hmm.
what their end users wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I think we had that conversation a few episodes ago. How they don't even know what their end users want because Diamond focused on selling in bulk to comic book stores. And comic book stores generally make a loss if you don't know. They generally operate at a breaking even or making a massive loss. Um, so they would buy like thousands of issues, and DC would see that we sold thousands of issues of our comic, not understanding that, yeah, you sold 1,000 issues to Ma and Pa's comic book store in Seattle, but Ma and Pa's comic book store sold three. They sold
Mm-hmm.
three of those issues. So you basically only sold three, but DC's gonna get the money from 1,000, you know? Um, especially for a company like DC. DC Comics makes most of their money through comics. Very little IP
From.
exploitation. So
Mm-hmm.
they don't. It's not about merchandising for them. Most merchandising you see is in DC Comics. It's DC's cinematic place or a different part of DC. DC Comics itself does very little IP exploitation. They mostly make their money pure comics. So for them, they see 1,000 comics sold, they go, "We doing well." They don't understand that 1,000 comics sold translated to 2 people reading them and panning them, and they're talking about like, the stories aren't good. You can so that's talking about like, the reach. That's dealing with talking about the reach issue. I think after Diamond, we're going to see a big shift in how reach is handled and how printing is handled, how comics get to people. I think that shift might be for the better. When it comes to the content being bad, honestly, some things just don't fly. Like I've read a lot of what people have considered the big changes. And it's not like the industry is and it's not like they're not like the Comicsgate guys are wrong about those comics being bad. Like people, because they love Miles Morales. I love Miles Morales. Miles Morales is great, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't like the replacement for Iron Man. There are lots of reasons for that. The way she was introduced for a lot of fans was not great. I completely understand why. It seems like she just got it, and there was no like. It was like a handoff, and there was no like. I don't know. They did for them. It didn't feel like there was any growth into the character. They felt like it was too abrupt. Blah blah blah. I mean, it makes sense for a lot of them. Um, Later, Geek Boy, and I think for a lot of fans that just like, there was a big shift at one point. There was very little explanation that appeased the fans, and they felt like a lot of the characters that they got were not as good as the ones they'd spent 20 years getting to know, if not more. I mean, Tony Stark is an old character. If you like Tony Stark, you don't like Tony Stark because of who he is now. You like Tony Stark because you've kind of known the character for like the better part of 2 decades. You know, no one knew it was going to compare to that shit. That's
It's
it.
difficult because you've got the rose tinted specs of nostalgia. You've got what I mean, which kind of like mass like a whole other load of issues. Like I'm not
Yeah.
gonna put it past these companies that they were definitely out of touch and hired writers who couldn't, well, writers and artists who couldn't like draw this sort of thing or write this sort of thing properly, or like or like they hired like these marginalized groups that really were not as
I mean, yeah,
adept
they might
because
have not hired people for quality, although I don't know because I don't follow a lot of them. That's the thing. I'm gonna be
yeah,
honest.
it's hard to say really as well, like with this sort of thing, but it doesn't negate the fact that these are like all valid talking points, and that comics is due an overhaul, like from the big two, like with their monopoly and everything like that.
Shit.
I don't think there's a shortage of diverse content out there, diverse creators and diverse editors. I think, however, they very rarely make it into the upper echelons because of, all sorts of systemic issues.
Yeah, like so even if there are good creators, they're not making it up there. The ones who are making it up there probably aren't really like out to write what they, because you've
Mhm.
got a very it's complicated. It's definitely not going to be an easy solution, easy fix. I feel like the industry is realizing that how do I put this?
We're gonna have a need
Um
to have a lot of conversations and like changes and
yeah.
recalibrating and
If I
assessing
take
for a long time to
the
come.
line from Kwanzaa, one of the guys who worked at DC for a while, a lot of companies will very willingly, a lot of comic book companies, especially like companies like DC, will very willingly rest on their main their main IP, because they can. You know, if you can rest on if you don't have to work as hard to produce good content, why would you produce good content? You know, like DC for a long time would do this very annoying thing where, like, when they needed to make a big change or a big decision, they would go, "Can Batman afford it?" Batman can obviously afford it. Let's do it, guys. Like when they closed down Judah Comics, which is their old online imprint, right? And they closed down a ton of offices in New York. They did it because they knew Batman can afford us doing making these decisions. When you have Batman under your wing, when you've got Spider-Man, when you've got Miles Morales, when you've got like iconic characters, Iron Man, etc., Superman, you can afford to be a little bit reckless and not reckless, a little bit lazy. You can afford to like forego whole sections of the you can forgo whole section of the industry because, you know, well, I'll just do, it's fine. My thing will make me money, so I don't need to be inclusive. I don't need to understand.
Okay.
I don't
Okay,
need to understand.
you missed the whole hour, yes, which is a
Yes,
shame. But
good job.
before this, we were covering really rough topic because it's about abuse of power in the industry, both in just comics in general, and we, even though, like, you know, usually our like community of webtoons people doesn't usually like get come into contact with this sort of thing. Many of them attend conventions. Many of them may, like, a good amount of people may want to break into mainstream comics. So we'd be stupid to not talk about things like sexual harassment and abuse of power in amongst comics greats and comics gate and stuff like that. And especially this is coming from in a time where like people are I mean, you know, as well with the climate around George Floyd, people are starting to realize that, you know, hey, a lot of things are not okay. Like, with COVID, people are realizing a lot of the systems, existing systems and structures are not okay. So
I mean, because it's just when you have time to think about stuff, you kind of hits you a lot different.
Yeah, there's a lot that is not okay with the world.
Most of us spend our time working. We don't have time to think about it. So I don't really blame people who haven't thought about it for a while, but you know.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing, right? People would say that, but you know, why get rid of these why get rid of, like, you know, these guys? Like, what are we gonna do without them? Like, because they're very important. Yeah, see, they're very important. Yeah, people talk about, like, oh my god, the potential loss of like getting out of outing and like dropping a person who's accused of abuse. And here's the thing, right? So, and like, you know, what if we out someone who's innocent? Oh no, we can't afford to do that. The status quo, guys, has always been in exchange for your precious, like, you know, person, we have lost so many like good potential in, you know, comics as a result, or like just in any other industry, just because we choose to protect people, shitheads like these.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
the favorite thing that shows what you're talking about is that tweet that Oppose put out that was like, why aren't more women in esports? And like the comments, all the comments are just men. Why aren't more women in esports? Women don't want to go to esports because men are there. Men suck. Like, you know.
Well, here's the thing, right? I wouldn't just men, all right. I also say the women who are complicit in protecting them.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Equal. I mean, I think it's important to be an equal opportunity, like critique or something like that. You know,
that is a thing.
Yes. So it's stupid. People, please don't do it. So now people, like, I think we should like talk about like what a genuine apology and, like, you know, like say like genuine apology and reform looks like. And like when is it okay to still keep, quote unquote, to still keep dragging someone for what they've done, and when should they stop being dragged? I think to illustrate this, we need to look at a good example of what change and progress looks like, and that's Jenna Marbles, who is not in comics, is a YouTuber, however, who has recently, like, you know, announced, okay, she's leaving channel, like, and she's like talked about how she I think she's talked about like stuff that she did in the past that was not okay, you know, TM,
Yeah, I
and
mean, there's a
which is
lot of
true.
stuff.
So I think, and the sad thing is, this conversation about her has started to be like, initially started to be like, split into like a binary, it's either one or the other. It's either, hey, she did nothing wrong, you guys are just canceling her, versus she totally did, she deserves to lose her career over it. Neither of these are actually the truth. She did some things wrong, yes, absolutely. But I mean, let historical records show that she has, um constantly, like, attempted to like be a force of change and like improve on things. She was on a talk show with, one of the Kardashian sisters and some other like big names in like mainstream Hollywood entertainment. And the one of like there was this like, card where you like spin and you try to take a card and you answer what's on it. And this card was a question of like what's privilege, and like, is it a victimless crime, and stuff like that. And the person of color on that table said, oh, I think you should be able to pick another card. They all looked quite uncomfortable. She was like, she gave an A-star answer, and this is and pretty much like settle it. And so, and I know that sadly there will still be people who, for them, it is never enough. But yeah, you really do have to look at the track record, and if the apology is one of like, genuine reflection versus like, hey, sorry, like I'm
Yeah,
only
I
saying this
mean,
because I got
I get
caught.
what you're talking about. We're gonna have very differing opinions. I'm just me. Um,
No,
I
I
do
think
not.
yeah, go on.
I don't know. I do not. My logic is this. This is the logic I put forth. Um, all the stuff that you do doesn't stop being a thing, and it doesn't stop affecting you, and it doesn't stop being who you are. That is, whether you'd like it or not, especially if it goes public, it's who you are. You can try and be a better force for change, and people can go, well, you sucked, but you've become a different person. But you're still like, no, not exactly. You've sucked, but you've started doing some good things. But in my opinion, you're still that person. It's kind of like the logic um, of like addiction. If you're an addict, you're always an addict. That isn't said because they want to make you feel bad. That is said because you need to you need to understand that a lot of the stuff that you've done might be like irreparable. Like, you misusing your privilege to get away with shit. You abusing people in your industry. And yeah, you might change and become a better person. That's great. But the people you abuse, still abuse them. The people who are dealing with that might never stop thinking about this. And I don't think there is any endpoint for you that isn't just living with that guilt for the rest of your life. Like,
I mean, but some of these people, the abusers, don't even have any guilt, which is even worse. But yeah, I mean, I think what Nan said, like, sort of like, it isn't wrong, because I know how I feel about like the bullies in my life, how I felt. And uh yeah,
I
it's
don't know.
often very hard to forgive like these people.
Yeah.
And the wider world can't decide whether you should be forgiven and stuff. It is an issue that, the truly like, there are powerful people out there, unrepentant, constantly abusing people, who will still not be toppled. But
Yeah, it's like kind of
because
disturbing. But hey, like, we can't get rid of people we don't see. Or at least we can't get rid of. Yeah, you can't change what you've done, but you can change what you do. Thanks a lot for that, Jeremy. That's really good. And we can't change what we don't know. And people who have their own stories will talk about them eventually. But we can talk about how to not be that person. We can consistently make sure that every single person we know, every single person we meet, we hold responsible. Okay? Like, I tell you not to fucking be that guy because I want you, when you go outside and you are a manager at Taco Bell, or you are the head librarian, head junior librarian, or you are a CEO of some company I've never heard of, or like whatever, right? I
Mhm.
want you to go out and go, whatever you're thinking about the people under you, you do your best to not make their lives worse or make their lives hell in any way. You don't even, like, if you even vaguely think they might not like something, don't do it. Unless like, don't do it. Don't be that guy. Don't be that person. Be empathetic. Think about what they want. Please. I'm begging you. Don't ruin people's lives because you don't understand how many years of someone's life is spent thinking about something that for you might have been 12, 5, 10 minutes.
seconds even.
Yeah. And for them, that is the next 20 years of their life. You have taken 20 years of someone's life if you fuck with them in some situation.
And if you're arguing like, you can't like, crucify someone for like for like a 5-second mistake. This is why.
Also, yes, you
what
can.
about the other person this is why.
Look,
what about the other person who's been affected by that mistake?
We should just do what Brazil did and bring out the guillotine. Fuck it.
Oh no.
They brought out a guillotine at the BLM protests in Brazil.
I mean, I've had a lot of conversations with other people, but I think it also bears repeating that in the process of like trying to fight for progress in things like how we hold powerful people accountable, if a judicial system is broken, if like legislation is broken, and socially how we hold people accountable, if we need to change that in the course of trying to like figure out what is how best to call them out, while still not trying to like means drown some innocent person out in the mob, there will be collateral damage. I'm not saying it's the right thing to happen. I'm not saying it should happen, but it will happen.
Yeah, I mean, people will fuck up. But if you think about the fact that out of 1,000 cases, there will be like maybe 2 to 10 that are fuck ups, 900 something people getting a good outcome, in my opinion, is fine. The people who like, I don't know. I feel like
status quo is inherently worse.
Yeah. I think that's the way to say it.
Yeah, the status quo is worse. So, I mean, like, we still got to figure out like what overcorrection is and stuff like that. But it's an ongoing conversation. You can't just like out an abuser in just one like in your company and that's it. You've eradicated the issue. It's all gone now. It's a conscious reality that a lot of us will have to live with for a long time coming. I'm not even sure if it will be like solved in our lifetimes, but we can still opt to make it better for like others, which ultimately also does benefit ourselves too. Because if you're complicit in like protecting people like this sort of thing, why would other people want to like help you when the time is right? And
make our industry really fun and really safe to be in, like especially webcomics. We have a lot of young women. Like so if you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw my like timeline of work. I'm still working on the webcomics data thing because it's been taking a while because you've got to look for data points and stuff. But one of the things that I did notice is we have a lot. Even as a snapshot of an industry, there is an overwhelming number of women, an overwhelming number of young women, and like do not fuck up, do not fuck with these people. Like, they deserve the protection of every single member of our society, not because they can't protect themselves, but because we should not let them ever be in a situation where they have to worry about their own safety. We better not fuck this up. I don't know how else to put it. Just don't fuck it up. Don't. If you're a guy, you're a whatever, and you're anywhere at an event, and you see somebody there, don't touch them. Don't put it away. That's my advice. Just put whatever it is in your mind or in your hands or in your whatever away and just walk the opposite direction unless it's guaranteed to be positive for everybody around you. Please. That's what my self-help book should be. Just put it away. Go home.
If you're somebody who is worried that you might be next, I think you have to ask yourself a couple of things. Number one, if you're worried you might be next, but you don't think you've genuinely done anything wrong, try to figure out first whether what you may have unknowingly done something wrong, and you can sort of heal from that. Because this is again one of the things like self-improvement. Because I'm not going to put it past people that they genuinely did not know you're not supposed to act this way for whatever reason. If you're worried about being potentially caught in like social media crossfire like this, because but it's not because you didn't think you did it. It's not because you didn't think you did any wrong. Then be afraid. totally be afraid. I don't
Call your
think.
friends out, by the way. I just wanted to be understood. Sorry, Kaz. I didn't mean to cut you off there. Call your friends out, by the way. You think they're fucking up. Like, really, do it. I love all of my friends. I love Kaz. Kaz is a great friend. Carrie is a great friend. Kaz is like if I find out that Kaz was involved in some shit, like, Kaz, you won't begrudge me this, but I would fully go Darth Vader and just be like, you have disappointed me for the last time. That's it. And just fucking walk away and I'll just be like, yep. Like in a situation like that. Because call your friends out. Because no matter who you think they are, people do bad shit. And like, I want to believe that none of my friends will do bad shit. I want to believe my friends will not do bad shit. Will at least, if they've done something wrong, not do it knowingly and go out of their way to just be horrible, right? But normalize. I'm gonna sound like a tweet. Normalize calling people out.
Normalize education. I think call out has a really negative connotation for a lot of
Fair
people,
enough,
and
yeah,
that's
that's
understandable.
Normalize education. I love that.
Yeah, some people, and I know some people find it really hard because they're afraid of confrontation, and they maybe and if you're asking like, nobody told me it was wrong, maybe think about the fact that maybe people might have tried to tell you, but you haven't been receptive to it. Yeah, because that has happened. Like,
That happens a lot.
but also, if you find yourself in the position where you have to tell someone, like, what they're doing is not okay, TM, passive aggression isn't going to work. You can't just, like, ignore them, assume them, and make them think, oh, maybe it's because I did something wrong, and then I immediately don't know what they did wrong. You need to have, like, an upfront conversation, not like, oh my god, you're the most horrible person ever. Like, you have to say, this is wrong because what and why.
Yeah, like do tell people why they've done what they've done wrong. Don't just like tell it them coherently. I'm the one who gets to do that. Okay, I get to be incoherent ranting. You have to be coherent.
Oh dang! Then I'm gonna call you out for your double standards there.
Listen, all right. Do as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. That's what my mom used to say to me a lot growing up.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, guys, comics is not immune from the wider society. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, guys, come on. You didn't actually think it was, did you? Like, oh, I can't wait for the entire 20-minute video.
Yeah.
All right.
Because like, why would you do? I mean, if you write stories, but like you think, oh, I can write stories without thinking about wider society, even if it's like some fantasy thing that's a parallel world, totally not how it works. Because even those things, the works before you that you admired, all based off like what our own frame of reference, as with human interactions and stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
not immune, not immune.
I want to end this section, so I'm going to end it again with Jeremy's quote, because Jeremy wrote a really good quote, and I said it once, I'll say it again. Can't change what you've done, but you can change what you do. Don't be a dick. That's my advice for you going forward. Live your life. Okay. New section.
Yeah, that's the last section for the show because we've probably got like about 30 minutes or so left. Yeah, short story contest.
Short story contest. Okay. So in my infinite wisdom, I haven't had time to read shit. Apart from Kaz's comic and like a handful of comics lately, I've been too busy with like just being productive for some reason. As a round out, can I just say that I'm still really impressed with what was that comic called? Let me just open my tab. How to Escape the End of the World.
Yes, that one, it is really underrated. I still dislike the typesetting. However, like the premise of the story and the art itself is pretty good.
I've really begun to understand why circular bubbles super important. And it's because of Webtoon that I've begun to understand this. I used to think it didn't matter if you had like a rounded circular-ish bubble, or if you had an oval bubble. And
please don't use like full like proper circles or ellipses, because those, I mean, like,
not like proper circles. I'm talking like a squircle.
Squircle. Okay, like rounded rectangles, right? Those are better.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like,
yeah. See, that was that you're not typesetter who corrected the DC ad, the DC Harley Quinn ad. You're the one who
Taylor
retweeted that.
Esposito. Yes, I
Yeah.
retweeted that guy. Incredibly great guy. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Do you want to
really
show
good.
them? Do you want to show them an example of like
Oh, let me see
what I
if
was
I can
talking about?
find his.
It's on my profile. You can find it.
It's really there it is.
Transition.
Great. It's really good. Let me just capturing the right window. I have a
Yeah,
ton
make
of
sure that
windows
you.
up.
Yeah, dude, how many monitors do you have?
I don't want people to see my secret stash. Harley Quinn propaganda.
Oh.
Why did I make it sound like that?
Yep.
So this is Taylor's typesetting, right? With the red outline and the yellow. It actually really fits the scene. I don't know why he didn't outline the tomorrow.
I think you could oh, you mean that do a drop shadow and stuff like that?
Yeah, that weird.
This is a 10-minute to me. His submission is that he did this in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Also, right? I mean, somebody mentioned, hey, but the thing is, this is Harley Quinn's red, white, and black thing, so the yellow doesn't fit. So it's still, I mean, it's pedantry, but he also did a version without the yellow, so it's for
I should look for that. But that's the one he made. This is what DC put out.
Screw it. Yeah. This is what DC did, guys.
This is not gonna lie. This ain't it, Chief.
I have a feeling that it wasn't the typesetter who actually did it.
Yeah, I mean it's clear it wasn't a typesetter who did it. They did it.
Mixed case, by the way. No, it's not. You prefer the yellow. You prefer this typesetting full out. He did a version without the yellow that was not this.
Yeah.
It's a version with just. Scroll down.
Oh, okay. I should go back. Okay.
No. Scroll down on the same thread.
Oh, I did not see. Doesn't wait. Why have you done this, Nick Taylor?
No. Scroll down, because it was a reply to someone else.
Oh.
Oh my god.
I'm a fraud.
Yeah, keep going.
Where is he reply?
There.
Oh, there. Ah.
Yeah, see what I mean?
Ah, okay. Yes, this is actually a lot better. And also it fits stylistically. This is okay, this is it, Chief. Yeah.
I still prefer the yellow. I still prefer the yellow personally.
Yeah, I can see why. I know why. It's easier to see.
Okay. So mixed case in comics, right? Mixed case, which is like not all caps, has its uses, just not so much for the big two, really. And this is a guy who is very familiar with the house styles of various publishers, so he did this like in line with their house style.
I feel like if you are making artwork that's this nice to look at, putting this out, if you don't have everything, all your ducks in a row, like what's the point? I feel like you kind of you reduce the quality of the work overall if you don't get just this. And the fact that this is so right is so good.
Yeah. This is something, right? Okay, I think we can sort back to our normal screen. This is something that has, by the way, the bad one, has stood out in a bad way with a lot of the comics that I read. Like otherwise amazing comics that I should try and give the power through and give them a chance because but once you're an editor, it's like
it's in your face a lot more.
And I can easily choose to like just jump to the next one that doesn't look visually like horrible like that.
I've been focusing a lot on trying to read these comics like a child, and I mean this in like I decided to drop because I've not been enjoying reading a lot. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Just because I'm reading and like you start seeing mistakes, pause. You start like it starts piling up in my mind. So I've tried to read these with as much youthful exuberance as possible. Going into them and just kind of losing myself in them, trying to get into the work, just enjoying it like I would if I was 13 without thinking about anything. Just trying to like the stories and stuff. One, it's been a lot easier, and it's a lot easier to get into the mind of the people who are actually reading this stuff. And two, I can see the appeal of a lot of things that I didn't originally like.
Like what
Um,
sort of thing?
like there was a comic called Alora I wasn't into, but I can see why a lot of young people would really like that comic. Um, I wasn't into
Alora,
like
I can't find it.
Alora. It's Alorha. Yeah, it's spelled really weird. Uh, but it's just because it's cute and it's kind of fluffy, and it's what a lot of people like to read. Just especially now in lockdown.
Oh, the art definitely compensates for it.
Yeah, it's all about being fluffy and cute, and people are just like, it's fluffy and cute, and I like that. And I've been looking a lot more at stuff like that. I'm like trying a lot less to pick out that people aren't doing their typesetting right or whatever, because a lot of young people don't care. Like we can ask for better, and it's good to ask for better. It's also good to understand that no matter how much we ask for better, some people, the people who are gonna make these comic creators money, don't care, and it's easier to encourage them when you let them know that you appreciate that part of their work and you still think they could do this, instead of like do this and then, oh, that's actually quite nice too. In my brain, that's what I've been
No,
trying to
no,
approach a lot. Like,
it's true. Like, I mean, usually, like the first thing that makes me read is because, like, the art's great.
yeah, um, I still had to. I tried to read a lot of new entries. I have nothing. There was nothing of note that I noticed. At least for me. Uh, I think there was one called Lemons that I read that was quite enjoyable. Birds in Paradise was interesting. Very much an illustrator's take on making a comic. Um,
Hmm.
let's see.
Yeah, I think I saw that one.
Still, again, I've said Blue Scale like 5 times now. I'll say Blue Scale again. Blue Scale ended really well, in my opinion. So that was good. A comic called Cyrus looked really nice. Um, what else I actually thought looked the Copper
Yeah,
Storm. I don't think
the
the
what?
Copper. So there was an entry called the Copper Storm, which broke all the rules because it has like 10 uploads. But it's saying that it's like a set number of episodes, but it's 10 uploads, which already breaks the rules.
Oh,
And yeah,
yeah, that sucks.
but they had an interesting style going on. They had an interesting look to their work. Very, I don't know. It feels like I've only seen work like this when I look at very like traditional, like very culturally relevant art where they paint and draw faces in a way that's like very not Eurocentrically attractive. And I think that was really nice to see. A lot of this comic has like a weird color scheme. I just thought it was interesting. I know it's not going to win, even if it had a chance, because they've broken the rules. But it's and also they didn't put they put the tag. No, they did.
Oh,
To
oh,
that,
I see the problem now.
yeah, they've uploaded like
Exposition dump. Exposition dump. That's why
that
it's
too.
taking so much space.
That's why. Okay, that explains that. I only gave it a cursory look at the art to be like, yeah, that's nice art. That was nice. There was also something called The Girl and the King, which reminded me a lot of very traditional Chinese manhwa. Yeah. Did you know Chinese? Do you know Chinese called the Chinese manga? The word for manga is man. You speak Chinese, don't you?
Manhwa, yeah. Well, but the manga. So manhwa came first. Manga came later because remember,
Okay. Yeah.
Japanese kanji came from Chinese.
Yeah. So manhwa manga. Because a lot of people I knew growing up didn't know what that was, so it always weirds me out whenever I think about it. But yeah,
And
it
in
looks
Korean, it's spelled similarly, just that UA is spelled in UA is not
WA.
what they use is WA.
Yeah,
Manhwa.
manhwa. But yeah, it looks very similar to a lot of Chinese manhwa that's out in terms of like art, in terms
I
of
know.
the style and the use of lighting and coloring.
Wait, the Girl and the King?
Uh, the Girl and the King, yeah, yeah, it reminds me a
Braslas,
lot of
right? I
what?
don't know. Was it by Braslas? That's the person? Because the Girl and the King is
Brass. Yeah, it is Brass
it.
Last. It's Brass.
I personally don't really agree, but I can see why you think so.
So I've been reading a lot of Chinese manhwa lately, and like that's this it's similar style, similar feel. Like
Yeah.
strong colors. Everyone's pretty. Um, if you're old, you're kind of weirdly ugly. A lot of background elements are kind of just painted as fast as they can be sometimes, or like kind of like you know spread out and like it's hard. It's not because it's not a focus point. They put a lot less time into it, obviously, which makes sense. Um, and it's very different from like the Korean manhwa way of making a comic where it's like everything is high detail. There's a garbage bin in the background of a shot. That garbage bin has like lines and like and weathering and dust. Like I don't know. Like once I saw it, it's very different like approaches. I felt like this one was a lot more like Chinese manhwa. That's
Okay.
the ones I've been reading. That's what I mean though. But hey, I see your point though. I see your point. Um,
Okay, so some of the top entries I'm looking at. So in the hard category, because I can't comment on brain category because I'm that would kind of be a conflict of interest too
you're
much.
all heart.
Yeah, I'm all hard. I am so there are a couple of comics I really liked, and I hope they win. Monster Under My Bed is we love Marvin on this show, yes, but
We all love.
she's shown like an example of what a solid structure is,
Yeah.
and and I mean how like you pick just the right amount of convey, like, and time skip that isn't jarring and stuff like that. There are two time skips in fact that aren't jarring, like
Yeah.
from chapter to chapter. It's cute. You really should read it. Let's see. Champ is a silent comic, and that one's about a boy and like who finds a dog and stuff like that. That one's adorable. That one's it's definitely it's cliche, but it is adorable. Yeah. Middle child
Yeah.
syndrome, very powerful, very powerful.
Wait,
That one's
what's
got 5
oh,
episodes.
middle child syndrome. Oh, that one.
Yes.
I couldn't. It's not even its fault. I just couldn't relate to it because I'm an only child, and I tried to. I really tried to get the character, and I don't know. I just couldn't get. I couldn't. Once I saw the premise, I was like, this isn't something I understand already. I don't know if I'm gonna understand it going in. Then I saw like the sensitive topics warning, and then I was like, gonna give like look at the first chapter a bit, and if it's not what I like in like 5 minutes, I'm not gonna read it. And that's what happened. I read through it immediately. It wasn't popping at me, and I just like it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it wasn't my thing.
No, I think they handled like sibling dynamics very well. But I am also an older sibling, so I think,
you have siblings.
yeah.
How does that feel? How does that feel to have a sibling?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. What's up?
Nothing. I just said, how does it feel? I don't have one, so I don't get it. I don't know what
I
it's
mean,
like.
it's different though because I'm always had like younger siblings. Like the only older ones I have are sort of like if some people get like when you like kind of adopted quote unquote by friends, but
Getting adopted
yeah.
by.
Yeah. So someone's asked like about the Webtoon LSE. What about it?
It's just asking if I've read. I think it's because it's not new, but it's got some updates. Oh, it's an action comic. I'll look at it. I'll look at LSC. Why not? It's doing well for it.
Oh, because it's the artist of Girls of the Wild. So
Oh, that's why. Well, that's why that boy looks so familiar to me.
and the writer is the one from Noblesse. So
that's unusual.
so
That's a
yep.
combination, right?
It's a very interesting
Yeah,
Yeah.
Noblesse plus the high effort action artist of Girls of the Wild. That's intense.
Yep. That's probably why like people are like ooh about it. What other what other entries
Dead
are there?
Air.
Let me just go.
Dead Air looks
Dead Air.
really good. It's like
Dead
it
Air?
only it don't yeah, Dead Air. It only hit the minimum chapter requirement, but I love the style, I love the aesthetic, I love the use of color. Someone like me who's colorblind, it was a very it was very easy to read immediately.
Oh, the engagement's quite high actually, like for the
Yeah,
likes
it
versus
is.
subs.
They're doing well for themselves, and it's just it was nice to read. It looked really good to look at. The colors, the story was fun in my opinion. Um, But again, I still read. I went into it with more of like a, oh, I wonder how this is gonna go. That looks quite fun. I like this. I like that, and it was easy to just get through it, and it can be a bit weird sometimes. I wouldn't say this is for everybody, but for the people who it's for, you will probably enjoy reading. They try a lot of unique visuals. I feel like for this person, as with a lot of people doing the contest, this was an experimental comic. Try out new things, try out new ideas, um, and I think it kind of paid off for them. Although there's a lot of narration, a lot of exposition, which pushes a lot of people away. It almost feels like the three chapters, in my opinion. And you can read the first three chapters and kind of feel like you're reading like the prequel bits to a comic that's already
Yeah.
going to be made later, which isn't gonna jive with everyone.
Oh, I can talk about prequels being like hit and miss because Leona the Werewolf was revealed to be a prequel.
Ah, the old Disney switcheroo. I'll explain what that is. But that's a prequel.
Yeah, supposedly it's based off some other characters that she did for like another comic. Let me just have a look.
Okay.
Yeah, I think she wrote. Yeah, it's a prequel to a story about Oz. So I hope it's not too confusing. Now, I felt so it started to lose steam in like episode 3, 4, episode 3 onwards.
Yeah, I got to episode 3. I saw the vampire boy. Oh crap, that's a spoil of whatever. I saw the vampire boy. Didn't like him and haven't read since. And I didn't like him on presence. Like the moment he showed up, is the way he showed up, the way he acted was not. It wasn't scary. Like it just felt like a creepy old man was asking me to come join him in the woods. Like it was just really weird. I don't know how to put it.
There was a comic that I found, right? There was a webtoon that I found on Reddit that's a really good entry as well, but it's likely not going to win, sadly, because again, like very low exposure. But let me just try and find it.
There's a lot of people who tried new creative ideas aren't gonna win, and I'm sad about that. While you look for this, I'll just point out that Sunny with 100% chance of winning is a comic that the intro is interesting, and I don't know, they just didn't do as much as I'd expected, as I'd hoped. Yeah, they got lost in the swarm, and it's not anyone's fault really. It's just the inevitability of content on the internet. You got to hit early, and you got to hit strong. And unfortunately, like some people either hit strong but not early enough, or hit early but not strong enough, and
I can't find
unfortunate.
it. Like Sunny with a what?
Sunny with 100% chance of. It started out really interesting, and then it kind of lost going on. Then there was Finsterwald.
Oh, Finsterwald was pretty good, but I don't know when the next episode's coming out.
I think the main reason I read Finsterwald was literally because the creator's name is Mouse. And I don't know if any of you have read Mouse, but that's such a good graphic novel. And have you read Mouse, the graphic novel?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's a whole graphic novel about like and World War II, told from the perspective of the writer's dad who was there. And like he draws all the Jewish people as mice, all the Nazis as tigers, all the Americans as dogs. Like everyone's an anthropomorphic animal, and he like tells an interesting story, not just about like his father's problems, father's issues, being in a concentration camp. But he talks about like his relationship with his dad and his relationship with himself growing up under his father, and he talks about his mother's suicide. It's a really intense book series. Intense. I think it was more than one volume. A couple volumes.
Yeah, so the name is the reason, and the name similarity to Finsterwald's author is what made you.
Yeah, like the moment I think of that really good comic, I see that name. I'm like, if you read something like that, you've got to be good at something, you know.
Let's see. Toby is Taken was one of those that I don't think is the most powerful art wise, but the premise is actually pretty interesting.
Toby is Taken.
Yes, Toby is taken starts off like this. It is a really interesting like flip.
Okay.
Like again, I didn't really like the look of it because like I think the starting wasn't like exactly the best. Like but it's a very strong bait and switch.
Yeah, this is very early 2000s. I don't know. I'm getting a 2000s vibe. I think it's because of their hairstyle.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm looking at NSYNC.
Welcome Home is pretty pretty trippy. It's a little bit too trippy for my liking in some parts, but
Bob Home.
um, Welcome Home. But it's but the twist is pretty alright.
Oh, okay. Okay, I see where
Lucid Lucy is cute. I wouldn't consider it strictly mind bending, but it's cute.
I think Plague Carrier, which like it's interesting. It's kind of the color scheme really is what gets me. You know that I'm a sucker for like
For color.
yeah, for color, the right kind of color schemes. I'm a sucker for that. Like the comic starts with a guy finding a letter from himself from the future, um, telling him to stop a plague from hitting a town that he's in. That was one of the ones that got me. There was also another one called Hotel, The Hotel by Frank Calico. The hotel also has that color scheme thing. Again, I'm a sucker for the right color, but it's also got like interesting character art. Like, okay, I'm just gonna show people this. Um, this is a character in the hotel, and I don't know. I just think it's really interesting to like draw characters the way this person does. And the framing, the shots, the scenes, like that feels intense to me. You know. Again, the color.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a sucker for this. Blue on yellow. I'm not blue yellow colorblind. This is perfect.
Yep.
This is my whole deal. So like they just got me. They basically bait and swap baited me in. I was ready. Um what else was there that was really good? But no. You said Gone Home. Sorry, Welcome Home, which I looked at. That art looked trippy.
Very trippy. Retracing is a hard story. It is a hard story. It's also another like one that doesn't get like a bunch of like attention. There's only 92 subs on it. That's the thing. But
It looks alright.
it's I actually cried at it.
Oh, you cried during reading?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
cried. Yeah.
All right. That's intense.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I like it looks. Everyone talks like people, and that's already got me kind of worried because I feel like I'll get really invested in them. And that might sound like a very low amount of praise, but it's just a lot of comics have dialogue that never sounds like people talking. It always sounds like declarations. I'm going to do this, and it's never, the actual conversations of people where they interrupt each other and like talk to each other. Like I don't know.
Yeah. This is I mean obviously like there are reasons why you would like make declarations like that. If like if you're shown an anime protagonist or something is one of them. Okay. Let's see what else. Like yeah, so Opera Chaos looks lovely, but I couldn't follow the story as well. I mean, I'll give it another try later though. So
I think when this contest ends, you should if they and the comics will still be up, probably still in their own category. You should I think everyone should try and even if you're not it doesn't matter if you have time now. Go through like the list and just find a couple that you like and just read them when you get the chance because like they look a lot of work has gone into a lot of short stories to make something like even if they even at least what
no, sorry, I found another one. I'll recommend it later.
Like to read make something original, and I think they all deserve a little bit of. Not to mention the fact that because of this short story contest, I haven't looked at like um I haven't looked at like Canvas properly in a while, but a lot of really interesting stuff has come out on there, like Ghoul, which is a story of of a young orc, which I think is really cool. Um, so yeah, it's old, but like it's finally getting some attention, and it looks like it's getting some much needed. But yeah, you were gonna recommend a short story. Recommend.
Yeah. So Gooey, that's how you pronounce her name, I believe. That's she's the creator of a couple of other webtoons. There's there's like 23, I think that's how you call it. The words all written in Roman numerals. That's one of the high rated ones in fantasy. She did Salty Waters. I liked that one, and not because I know of her, but Salty Waters is it's in the B category. I know I said I wouldn't talk about like other comics in my own category, but I rate that one. I rate that one.
That's fair enough. Venturing to the
Yeah,
depths of an ocean. That looks pretty interesting. I think you should check it out. Salty water. That looks great.
yeah. I mean, as you can tell, I totally like I don't rep my own as well over here.
No, it's fine. Yours is good. I don't know why you don't rep your like I can rep
Yeah,
yours for you.
yeah, because it comes better rep like when other people rep. But see, I
that
also
how
suffer the same thing artists do.
that's perfectly fine. Go and read Kaz's comic. Go read. It's
Yeah,
good.
so
It's nice. I like it. It's actually look. All of them have been read. Read them.
wow, you
Cry.
only like 2 chapters. Thanks,
Listen,
man.
all right. I always forget to like. I'm one of those really annoying people that always forgets to like, no matter what people say.
Okay, I know what you mean though. What was I gonna say? Yeah,
Like 3 of them.
yeah, but try not to don't spoil it for them right now, so you can do it when it's not on the screen.
No, but yeah, do read it. It's pretty interesting. It's in limerick form. Is it? Would I call it a limerick? Is that fair? In
Yes, it's
rhyme or
limerick form basically. Yeah,
limerick?
it's a very particular kind of a beat structure and
Yeah,
rhyme.
yeah, and I think it flows really nice. I like reading it. You should
I
read
mean,
it.
fairy tales are sometimes told in like all sorts of rhyme, you see.
They
So
are. They are
and
quite
nursery rhymes and stuff because we include a bit of that there. Yeah, that's awesome.
Humpty Dumpty
Yeah,
sat on the
so
wall.
obviously, the people are like, hey, if it's like a fairy tale retelling, why have you put it in B, man?
Questions.
Yeah.
I think you should read it. I'm telling you to read it. Listen to
There's
me.
one more. There's one more chapter due out as well, and
Yeah.
in a few days, like obviously before the thing ends. So
Listen
yeah.
to me, my army, and go forth. My army of 50. Yeah. That's all the recommendations and stuff. We mentioned a bunch of names. I'm gonna see if I can get a couple of the links down on YouTube when this video is. I'll get a couple of the links down in the description for anyone who gets this far into the recording, and you can just go through them and check them out. Because I think it's only fair to give people a shout out. Make sure like they have a chance for their work to be read, even if it doesn't win. There's a lot of praise. There's a lot of worth to be gotten from work just being. So yeah, I haven't got super much else to say other than that. What about you, Kaz?
No, I think we're done. We've already like got almost like 1 hour and almost 2 hours worth of like
Yeah.
talk. So I
Tell
think
your
we can.
friends to stop accepting bullshit from. Tell your friends to stop accepting bullshit from people in power. Don't let them take advantage of other people. Read good short story contest entry. That's all you need to take away from today's episode. Thank you. I think that was a good roundup. Also, read Grandma's cake recipe. You suck if you don't read it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the confidence.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
confidence. I have a lot of confidence in your work, man.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. But yeah, it's been a really heavy cast, and we've seen. I mean, at least the viewer numbers have been pretty decent. Pretty decent, like through that whole like hour of us like
Yeah.
dragging people.
You guys are the reason why we keep doing stuff, and you make us very happy when you show up,
Yeah.
when you're there. And I know I'm not announcing them in advance. I'm going to try and announce them more in advance from now on. I got to thank my usual patrons who I always semi-forget to thank, like Ayashi, Archangel, Nick the Halfling from Plum, and everyone else on the Patreon who gives us money, makes it a little easier to afford some things, to help us make stuff. If you follow me on Twitter at earthbound_m, you can find, like, whenever I post weird political crap, or whenever I post my bibliography for like a TV for like a video that I'm working on. One of the videos currently in editing now. It's all done. The blog platform and the website will be finished soon, so I'll be posting the entire script for that video directly onto there, and I'll link you guys it on my Twitter. Follow at Catastrophe for really good
Tweets.
typesetting tips, good tweets, random tweets about
life and stuff. Yeah,
about
like
life
yes,
and
like
stuff.
talking about Overcooked and like how I got my copy of Overcooked with get prepared for the Ramsay treatment.
That was really funny. Follow
Yeah.
us at Webcomics Hub. We're trying to move everything to Webcomics Hub just so it's like one name for everything. So follow Webcomics Hub. Go there. Tweet at me. Share our videos. Like, scribbles. The usual shit. Give us money if you got money. Thanks a lot. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, Sec. Thanks for being here, Rainbow. Thanks for being here, everybody. Okay, that's it from me. This is on me.
He's been Nan and I've been Kaz, and we've been honored that you guys have been here. Please be safe. Please enjoy the rest of your week, and don't be a dick. Hey,
wear a mask.
Rhymes!
Yeah. Don't be a dick.
All right. See ya, guys.